The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
If you really want to doge, this is how you doge. You don't vote for bad legislation that expands government. Thank you.
Now we're talking about taxpayer money, and we're talking about accountability. It is their money. This isn't a government program we're actually spending on. We're actually giving it back to the people of Idaho.
There's other options for making our ballots more secure, such as using watermarks or putting holograms on the ballots.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 billion more, and it's not enough.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
Other states like Texas and Florida have enacted similar laws to address illegal immigration, both locally and in their communities. And Idaho has the right to protect itself when the federal government has failed to do that.
COVID presented us with quite the enigma. We didn't really know what it was or what to do, but that is no excuse to violate the rights of the citizens of the state of Idaho.
Say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
I don't know what's coming after this current administration for the feds, and we need this law because our federal laws on immigration have failed.
Mr. President, I think it's incumbent upon us to allow parents to use their hard-earned dollars to provide what's best for their children.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
My concern is that the resilience of Idahoans who believe in self-reliance and self-responsibility will be eroded.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Yeah, watch it.
Come on, guys.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Idaho Signal is on the air. It is March 13th, Friday. That's Friday the 13th, 2026. I am Matt Edwards. Welcome to the program. It's great to have you here. We are getting blown up. I just got a text today about some crazy, what do they call it? A dissenting opinion or a brief, a legal brief that's going around, that's out there that looks pretty funny. We'll get there. Anyway, folks, welcome to today. It's Friday. We have eyes on the House. We have eyes on the Senate. Right now, the Senate is at ease. They're about to go into what's called the 14th order, which is where the assistant majority leader, you see him right there, Senator Mark Harris, will conduct a sort of the 14th order. It's where the committee. It's where the whole Senate dissolves and creates a committee where they will listen to bills and they will amend bills, and then they will vote on the amendments and so forth, and then they'll recommend the bill go back into the floor session to be voted on later. So that's what's happening now. It's called the 14th order. You see that in committee when there's changes that still need to be made to a bill, they will send it to the 14th order. Over in the House, do we have eyes on the House yet? We'll pay attention there in a moment. But first, as we do take a look, there it is. It's coming. These guys are fast. You don't know how fast it is to do this, but they're fast. Right now, they're checking out House Bill 869.
21, maybe you can get to where she wants to get without doing what we're doing here, playing gotcha.
And they're playing gotcha. Okay. So we'll keep tabs on those votes too. But really, we have a guest coming on here in just a few minutes. Hopefully, he'll be able to make it. If my calendars and my emails are correct, going out there, it's tough. It's tough living in the north, where all the action is happening in the south, and I just get mixed up with my time zones. It's very distracting. So hopefully, we're gonna have Maxford Nelson from Freedom Foundation on to discuss House Bill 745. House Bill 745 is currently in the Senate Commerce Committee with Chairman Dan Foreman. This is a bill that passed, it's actually been worked on for the last several years. This is a bill that basically says that the big function of it is that the state of Idaho will no longer be in charge of doing the automatic deductions from teachers' salary and then giving it to the teachers' unions. If the unions want to collect their dues, then they can set up whatever system works for them and their teachers to make sure that goes through. But this automatic deduction, where all you have to do is you get your paycheck and the state, just like your withholdings, the money gets taken out and goes directly to the teachers unions for the dues. There's other things in there as well in terms of getting time off and activities being paid for by the state, or not being reimbursed properly. I mean, there's all sorts of different anecdotal scenarios that are out there regarding the way teachers unions take advantage of taxpayer money, basically. And so the big reason for this, I mean, it's no secret. One of the big reasons for this is because teachers unions are one of, if not the biggest leftist lobbyists in the entire country. And while they're out there trying to say that the dues that go to the Idaho Education Association, they keep trying to say that those aren't used at the national level, but they are, because the IEA sends money to the NEA, the National Education Association, the big teachers union, the big teachers lobby across the country, and then they use their money for all of the leftist causes that we see out there. One of which is Planned Parenthood, sending the money off to Planned Parenthood to do pro-abortion activities. And if you've been paying attention here in Idaho, there's a huge initiative traveling around the state right now, gathering signatures to put back onto the ballot in November the ability to kill babies again in Idaho, up to 9 months. I mean, that's the trajectory it's going to go for. So this has huge ramifications, because we know that there's a lot of teachers in Idaho, a lot of teachers who don't want their money, their dues and their money being spent on these leftist activities. And if they could withdraw from the teachers union without having to pay dues and not be a part of it, and maybe they wouldn't sign up if it wasn't just automatically deducted from their paychecks. So we hope that we can get a representative on soon. But in the meantime, if Brian Allman's around, let's bring Brian up on for this. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you here. We have a situation where this bill that I just talked about has passed the House, and now it's sitting over in the Senate committee.
Many such cases.
Many such cases, yeah. I mean, the Senate is such a huge problem. But first off, what's your take on this bill and why it's so important? I mean, they've been trying to get this through for the last several years now.
You're right. And if it were any other organization, say it was a great example would be the National Rifle Association. It's a civil rights organization dedicated to protecting your Second Amendment rights, which our founders put in the Constitution, our God-given right to self-defense and resist tyranny. But if we had automatic payroll deductions for that, and if we had, if the NRA president worked for some public, a government job or a public school and got 30 days paid time off per year to go do NRA activities, I don't think the left and these Republicans who are opposing this bill would be so enthusiastic as they seem to be now. Yet they think that the Idaho Education Association, another private organization, which has it's involved in pushing a very left-wing, very woke agenda on our society through our schools, but also just through its campaign contributions and independent expenditures. They're doing this May Matters campaign to target any Republican who happened to support school choice last year. And yet they get all these taxpayer-funded perks. It's not right, and we're trying to put a stop to it. There's a lot of resistance, though.
Yeah, there is. Okay, well, Max Nelson joins us now. Let's bring him in. Max Nelson is coming to us from Freedom Foundation, not to be confused with the Idaho Freedom Foundation, which gets a lot of talk around here as well. But Max, it's good to see you. You've been in the trenches on this bill on this matter for quite some time now here in Idaho. It's good to see you. What can you tell us? Where you see this bill going, and then we'll back up a little bit and explain it more to the people, because you're the expert on this.
Well, thanks for having me on the program, Matt, and Brian's been a great ally in the fight over this issue. And the bill is House Bill 745, as you may have mentioned a moment ago. It's passed the House with a strong vote earlier in this legislative session. 45 to 23, as I recall, was the vote count coming out of the House. That's the strongest showing for this legislation in the last couple of years since it's been under consideration. The bill was referred in the Senate to the Commerce and Human Resources Committee. That's the same committee it came out of in the House. The committee is chaired by Senator Daniel Foreman out from Moscow. And it hasn't gone any further since it was referred to his committee last week, which is one of the more puzzling developments in this legislative session. The good chairman is a co-sponsor of the legislation this year. He was co-sponsor of the previous version of the legislation last year, and has indicated multiple times over the course of the last year his support for the legislation and his eagerness to have it heard in his committee. But we were informed just shortly after the bill was referred to his committee last week, Wednesday, I believe, that he'd had a change of heart for reasons he couldn't articulate or wouldn't articulate, and decided he no longer wanted to hear the bill. So the mystery of the last few days has been, despite the overwhelming support for this legislation among the right, the center right in Idaho, support from national organizations, support from the White House, now we've learned in the last few days, what is the holdup? And nobody seems to know. So that's the mystery of the moment. But as I keep telling people, this is a generational opportunity for Idaho conservatives for a strategic win over the progressive left and the infrastructure that funds the progressive left in Idaho. And this is just not an opportunity the legislature can afford to pass up this year. We don't know if we'll get another one for a while.
Yeah, you pinpointed it perfectly there. I mean, Brian, when we look at national politics, I mean, it's like it's the same thing. It's like we have these super majorities. Well, we have that here apparently in Idaho with a Republican majority, super majorities. But you see it at the national level where you have Republicans in all the chambers and all the executive branch, and we can't get this stuff pushed through. What is it right now in Idaho where we can't get? I mean, we should just be running these things through.
Yeah, on paper, this should be an easy win. You look around, especially during the COVID lockdowns, that the teachers union, the National Education Association, the American Federation for Teachers, I think it is, they were on the vanguard. They were on the front lines of pushing lockdowns and mandated vaccines. And then with every other social issue, they're on the front lines of pushing radical gender ideology and diversity, equity, inclusion, and critical race theory, and all these things. And they're not shy about it. It's not like they're doing it quietly. They're doing it very loudly. And the IEA is behind it 100%. But you get this cognitive dissonance with certain Republicans in Idaho where they say, well, it's just representing teachers. It's just a professional trade organization. They do so much good to support. And it's like they have blinders on. They refuse to see the bigger picture here. And I don't know why. Are they just worried
they're scared.
About the union here? It really shouldn't have any power. This is a deep red 85% Republican state.
But there's something going on, Brian. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, Max, you've been dealing with this across many other states as well, with Freedom Foundation. I mean, the unions are powerful for a reason. And
Correct.
And I'm no stranger. I come out of Hollywood, so I'm no stranger to what unions do, especially in the Hollywood circles, and especially what's on screen on Hollywood. I mean, I don't want to make any strong implications here, but how powerful are these unions behind the scenes?
Well, I think they are more powerful than people realize, especially in red states, especially in very conservative red states. And to be fair, or to be clear, our organization as a nonprofit, a conservative advocacy group, we don't take positions on partisan elections. We don't endorse candidates. We don't endorse political parties. Our view is public resources, public funds shouldn't be used to subsidize private interest groups, political activity, and unions as labor organizations, as entities that seek to generate revenue and membership, shouldn't get special treatment under the law, shouldn't be able to engage in coercive activity to increase their membership. So that's where our concern is coming from. Now, as we work to advance those goals, those good government nonpartisan goals, what we're finding as a practical matter is the difficulty in states like Idaho, where you do have supermajority control of the legislature by Republicans. This is not just an Idaho issue. There's a couple challenging dynamics that you're up against. One is I think generally right of center people have less experience firsthand with organized labor and collective bargaining than those on the left. Organized labor is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is extremely politically active. There are tens of thousands of individuals who are employed by labor unions and labor organizations. You would be hard-pressed to find any just Democratic campaign operative that probably hasn't at least interned for a union at some point or had some direct experience working for them. So on the one hand, the left is keenly aware of the significance of organized labor to their political coalition and will go to the mat to defend it anytime it's threatened with good policy reforms. The right doesn't necessarily have that same level of exposure or fluency with the kinds of policy priorities that organized labor has and the way that they are able to build in their structural advantages. It's just less familiar to us. So it takes a little extra educational work for organizations like ours to come into a state and map out, okay, where is the union getting its power structure? Because none of these organizations are operating just like the NRA and going out and marketing their membership and services without any kind of government aid and support. Or almost invariably in all of these red states that we've operated in, they've been able to burrow in at some point in the past, get these legal privileges or get government support in ways that are less visible and behind the scenes, and it just goes on autopilot and nobody notices it. Well, then as we're documenting this, we're doing our homework, we're figuring out, okay, these are the ways that the unions have gotten these special privileges in law. These are the ways that they're getting outsized influence and support, even in these conservative states. Well, then you run up against the fact that unions are savvy political operators, and the teachers union in Idaho is no exception to that, the Idaho Education Association. They realize they're not going to get a democratically controlled legislature. They would like that. They'll work toward that at the margins wherever they can. But they have realized that their best opportunity to protect their interests is to play heavily in Republican primary elections and to go in and find moderate or liberal Republicans that they can back and they can support, either who are in the legislature already or who they can elect, recruit, support, and elect into the legislature. And so when you have this supermajority GOP control, the battle lines are less Republican and Democrat, and it's more about liberal Republican, conservative Republican, and the unions pick a side. They pick the liberal Republican side. And so all of a sudden you have candidates who are Republicans who are nonetheless beholden to the teachers union. They may say they're pro-life, they may say they're pro-gun, they may say they want to control the border and restrict immigration, but when it comes down to cutting off funding for the organizations that oppose all of those things, that are pro-abortion, that are gun control, that are pro-open borders, like the teachers union is, then they realize, well, my personal political interests are maybe aligned with these guys.
Right. Well, and that leads us to the dynamic here in Idaho with Senator Foreman here, right, Brian? I mean, Senator Foreman has a new challenger in the upcoming primary in Representative Lori McCann. Representative Lori McCann is not going to rerun for her seat in the House. She's going to run and challenge Dan Foreman for the Senate. And she is a huge, she has huge support from the IEA and all of the teachers union stuff. She was a professor or some sort of teacher at the university level for many years. She's always advocating, always pushing back against anything having to do with school choice, anything having to do with these teachers union bill and so forth. I'm sure she voted against this bill in the House just recently. And now she's challenging Dan Foreman. And I feel like the unions are kind of like sitting in this sweet spot now because they've got control. They've said something to convince Dan Foreman not to bring the bill forward. And in their back pocket, they've got a primary coming up where if he does make the mistake, they can just go with Lori McCann and try to take him out. I mean, that's kind of the dynamic. Do you see here, Brian? Am I wrong?
That's what it certainly looks like. By all rights, Representative McCann should have lost in 2024. That was a big year of backlash against the anti-school choice legislators. Melissa Durant in District 23, Julie Yamamoto in District 11 was the chair of the House Education Committee. Representative McCann was the vice chair of that committee and stood up against any school choice ideas. However, there was a split race. Two conservatives were in the race, split the vote, and Lori McCann walked back into the legislature with 40% of the vote. And now, maybe she's seeing an opportunity here, and obviously she'll be a beneficiary one way or another, whether directly or indirectly, from this IEA May Matters campaign. And so I guess she smells blood in the water, metaphorically speaking. We missed our opportunity to really, take out an opponent of school choice and a defender of these government unions last time.
Yeah. All right. Well, real quickly, Max, can you just sort of explain, just so that people understand the importance of this bill? What does this bill do, and why is it so important for the good folks of Idaho?
So a little bit of background, Matt. It's a great question, and I'll try to not to get too far into the weeds here. But
please. We like good sound bites.
So there's a tendency, right? We talk about teachers joining the union as though it's a singular entity, and I think it's important for people to realize what teachers are joining when they join the union in Idaho is actually a 3-level entity. They have a school district level union affiliate, say the Boise Education Association. You have the statewide union affiliate, the Idaho Education Association in this case. And then you have it back east in DC, the National Education Association, the national affiliate. So when a teacher joins and pays dues, they're paying dues to all 3 of those separate entities, which each has their own staff, their own budgets, their own resources, and so on. So at the NEA level, the NEA has put out guidance to all of its state and local affiliates around the country saying these are the priorities that you should try to secure from the government, whether through legislation or at the collective bargaining table. These are the things you should prioritize. And it's not teacher pay, it's not better benefits and working conditions or a fair disciplinary process. It's a list of things that the union wants in order to aid its organizational interests. And so at the top of that list is getting school districts to collect union dues from teachers' paychecks and be the dues collecting agent for the union. And there's several reasons why that's important to them. Just a few of them off the top of my head. It's administratively easier for the union to have that burden fall on the employer. It legitimizes the deductions in a way that makes it, what else do we have payroll deductions for? Taxes, health insurance, these mandatory things that you just assume are part of your job. Putting union dues into that category sends a signal that this is something that's just expected. This is part of your employment. It makes it very easy for the union to sign people up for membership because they don't have to go to you and ask for your credit card information or your bank account information. They just need to get your signature on the dotted line. And the less scrupulous unions have a history around the country. Our attorneys have represented people in this situation where the unions will just forge people's signatures on those documents. That's all they need to do to get access to your paycheck through your employer. They don't actually need any payment information. They don't even have to tell you how much union dues are going to cost on these payroll deduction authorization forms. The language will typically just say, I'm authorizing my employer to deduct whatever the dues amount is that the union certifies in perpetuity. So there's a variety of reasons that the union wants this. And as I believe Brian was mentioning earlier, that's a service that doesn't get provided to other interest groups. It's preferentially provided by school districts in Idaho to the union. And so that vastly inflates their membership and their dues collecting ability beyond what they would be able to achieve if they were playing by the same rules as anybody else. So this legislation would prohibit that, would prohibit school districts from using government-funded payroll systems to collect dues for the IEA.
I mean, that's huge, Max. That's huge.
Oh, it's huge.
And I know that there's other things that the bill does to assist in that area. And unfortunately, I can't get into all and to every line item that's on there. Right. But that alone just sends a huge message, especially with all the different ways that they try and get around it and manipulate. So, Max, what can people do right now? What's your call to action right now? Because this bill is. I mean, it's not that it's just like lingering. We don't know if he's going to have a hearing or not. He's emphatically said it's dead. We're not having a hearing. So what can we do?
You need to contact 3 people. The legislature is still in session. There are procedural maneuvers that can be deployed to bring a bill from committee over the objections of a chairman. And I think that may be attempted at some point in the not too distant future here. There's 3 people you need to contact. You need to contact your state senator, whoever that person may be, and you can look that up on the legislature's website, the Idaho Legislature's district finder, and email that person. You need to email Senator Foreman and ask him to hear the bill. You need to email the Senate President, Kelly Anthon, and ask for his support for the legislation as well. Those 3 people, your state senator, Dan Foreman, committee chairman, and Senate Pro Tem Kelly Anthon. Just a friendly email, respectful email. Please support House Bill 745. This is important to me as an Idaho taxpayer, and let's see if we can't get this done this year.
All right, excellent. Well, I know the Senate is still in session at the moment. They just went through the amending order, and so we'll pay attention and see if they do anything on this bill or anything else that's on there. So, Max, thanks for joining us. I truly appreciate it, and we'll keep tabs on everything that we're doing. And I really do appreciate you working so hard on this. It's very important for the people of Idaho.
It is indeed, and I appreciate both of you guys for putting some time and energy into the fight here. It's much appreciated. You got it. All right, Max. We'll see you soon. All right, let's head down to the Senate floor here and see what's happening as they come out of the amending order. Are they still in the amending order? Let's listen in.
With that, debate's open. Debate being open. Is debate in opposition? I don't see any. Senator Okonowitz, you're recognized to close debate. Debate's closed. Thanks. Debate being closed. The question is, shall amendment to section 1 be adopted? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. And the motion or the amendment to section 1 will be adopted. Senator Den Hartog.
All right, very good. They're just getting through these amending orders here. Why don't we do this? Brian, let's take a short break, huh? How about that? You stick around with me and we'll come back and we'll see what's happening. We'll be right back, everybody.
That's exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho's Republican governor signed the bill to reduce her income tax rate, but Jim Guthrie voted against it. Our governor signed the Idaho Medical Freedom Act, but Jim Guthrie voted against it. Our governor signed the school choice bill, but Jim Guthrie voted against it. Our governor signed bills ending taxpayer-funded soda and junk food, removing DEI from our universities, and outlawing pride flags being flown on government property. And Senator Jim Guthrie voted against all of it. Who does Jim Guthrie really represent? Because it certainly isn't you.
Paid for by Citizens Alliance of Idaho.
The dictionary defines a pledge as something that you give as a sign that you'll keep a promise. As Idahoans, that's what we're looking for in our elected leaders. A sign that they'll keep their word. Talk is cheap, and so are political promises, hidden agendas, and special interests. This is why we created the Citizens Alliance of Idaho Pledge, affirming the values Idahoans have been living by for over 100 years, inspired by the only 2 documents everyone has agreed to live by. So when an Idaho legislator signs our pledge, inviting voters to publicly hold them accountable, that's what we call political integrity. The pledge restores trust and honesty between voters and their legislators. It means protecting our shared values and ensuring your voice is heard in Boise. And that is priceless. Thank your legislator for having the political courage to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho Pledge. And if they haven't, it's time to ask why.
Okay, Brian, we're back here, folks, with Brian Allman and Matt Edwards. We are awaiting the Senate to come back. They're going to head into the 13th order. They are still at ease. The House is probably finishing up their business.
The House has been doing some debates on a couple of budget bills, and now looks like they're going through the second reading calendar. Just for the viewers while we wait for the Senate to come back. According to the Constitution, every bill has to be read 3 times on the floor. The first time it's read, it's then sent to a committee for the full hearing, and if it passes that committee, it comes back and it has to be read a second time and then it moves from to the third reading calendar. Usually there's a day in between, but what they'll do near the end of the session is they'll ask unanimous consent or take a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules and move bills from second reading to third reading so that they can vote on them immediately.
I mean, at some point we have to ask ourselves, like, I mean, just change all the rules if the rules don't matter as much anyway. If they just suspend them whenever they want. I don't get it. Is this the Senate here? What's going on in the Senate?
Return same as amended without recommendation. Senate Bills 1294, 1299. Please go ahead. Mr. President, we further report we have had under consideration House Bill 613.
So this is the report of the amendments.
Senate Bill 1297,
coming out of
Senate
the
Bill
Committee of the Whole.
1346, Senate Bill 1355.
Yes.
Senate Bill 1352, 1353.
As quote chairman of that committee,
House Bill
it's his duty to
House Bill
report
825,
how the
House Bill
bills came through.
670,
So
report progress, and beg leave sit again.
we'll have to
Mr.
catch up,
President.
folks, and see which bills were amended, what the amendments were, as they continue to head to the floor.
It's been moved and seconded that the committee report be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
For the amending order, they dissolve themselves into a committee of the whole, and they have slightly different rules than the usual
Bills,
Senate floor.
1294, 1299, 1335.
And then the committee will report to the Senate, and the Senate will accept the report. And now those bills are put back in the reading calendar with the amendments that were made.
Right.
House Bills 494, 728.
I know you know that, but just in case anybody watching doesn't.
Yeah, no, of course. I know you're not talking to me, Brian.
To the Judiciary and Rules Committee for printing. And the following measures will retain their place on the 14th order calendar. 613, House Bill 526, Senate Bill 1297, Senate Bill 1346, Senate Bills 1355, 1352, 1353, 1354, and House Bills 629, 825.
Yeah, let's just watch this a little bit for now. So go ahead and go full screen, and we'll watch it with you along with you folks.
Senator Den Hartog.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate return to the 13th order of business.
Hearing no objection, the Senate will return to the 13th order of business, the third reading of bills. The Senate is in the 13th order of business.
Mr. President.
Senator Zito.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, House Bill 745 has been in the Commerce and Human Resources Committee for 6 days with no action. I call House Bill 745 to the floor for full consideration.
Mr. President,
Senator Foreman.
I move that the Senate Commerce and Human Resources Committee be excused from reporting forthwith House Bill 745.
Mr. President, I second the motion. Mr. President, I request a roll call vote.
Senate Bill House Bill 745, pursuant to Rule 14E, has been called. There has been a motion to excuse the committee. A roll call vote with a motion and a second. A roll call vote has been requested and supported by the senators. Is there a debate on the motion?
Interesting stuff.
Senator Zito.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I will remind the Senate that we are only debating the motion on the excusing the committee. We will not debate anything else other than that motion. We will not debate the bill. So just to kind of lay the table. Thank you. Senator Zito.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. Mr. President, the motion before us seeks to prevent this bill from receiving full consideration. Senate Rule 14E explicitly provides for the calling of a bill to the floor. This is not a workaround. It is a deliberate, proper parliamentary procedure enshrined in our rules for exactly this kind of situation. The drafters of those rules fully anticipated and condoned this mechanism. Using it to advance legislation that benefits Idahoans is not only allowable, it's entirely appropriate. Many Idahoans are frustrated when a bill is held back from a debate and a vote. They expect their elected representatives to engage with measures that have strong support and not sideline them indefinitely. When a bill passes the House with a supermajority, carries the backing of 33 sponsors in the Senate, including a chair, Rule 14E serves as the essential remedy to ensure that the voices of hundreds of thousands of Idahoans are heard. The people deserve consideration and an up or downvote on such a piece of legislation. When a bill addresses how our hard-earned money is spent or how it may be misused, to block full Senate consideration is to deny taxpayers their full representation. In plain terms, keeping a bill from a vote amounts to taxation without representation. Our founders fought a revolution over precisely that principle. We should not lightly dismiss it here. For these reasons, I urge my fellow senators to stand with transparency, accountability, and the will of the people. Vote no on this motion. A no vote on this motion will keep the bill in the drawer. Thanks, Mr. President.
Is there further debate on the motion to excuse the committee?
Mr. President.
Senator Foreman.
To debate in favor.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I made the decision as chairman of Senate Commerce to hold the bill in committee. This was done in accordance with the rules of the Senate. Hearing this bill and passing this bill now will undermine my promising negotiations and work with the teachers union in an effort to make positive changes to the public school system. I urge your aye vote.
Is there further debate on the motion? Senator Kaiser.
To debate against the motion.
You have the floor.
Forgive me, I guess I don't have as much familiarity with the rule process. I value history and tradition, and as a sophomore senator or even a freshman senator, I lean a lot on the wisdom of those that have been here. And this to me seems like a rule that's properly placed to be a checks and balances. I'm a co-sponsor on that bill. I think it's good as written. I haven't heard of any substantive positive changes that are forthcoming. So I do agree that holding this in perpetuity has been an ongoing complaint from those in my district that I do represent, and they're my boss. So in this particular case, I'll be against the motion.
Is there further debate on the motion? Senator Zeiderveld.
Mr. President, to debate the motion.
You have the floor to debate the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, when the governor vetoes a bill, the legislature has the authority to override that veto with a supermajority vote. That is the check and balance on the executive power. The same principle applies here with Senate Rule 14E. When a committee chair holds a bill in a drawer, the check on that authority is the ability of the full Senate to decide whether that bill should be before this body. This rule exists that no one person, not even a committee chair, has greater power over legislation than the Senate itself. Today's motion may be the only opportunity we have to decide whether Idaho taxpayer dollars will continue to be allowed to follow into teacher union coffers. If this motion succeeds, that discussion never happens. If this motion succeeds, that discussion never happens on this floor. Colleagues, our job is to not keep issues in a drawer. Our job is to allow the People's Senate to deliberate and decide. For the sake of transparency and for the sake of responsibility and stewardship of taxpayer dollars, I encourage a no vote on this motion. The Senate was never intended to be governed by a drawer. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the motion?
Mr. President.
Senator Shippey.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Senator from, I believe it was 15, mentioned, obviously I'm fairly new to the process here. My understanding was that a motion being made by the Senator from 8 to bring a bill. So I understand that the purpose of that being in our Senate rules, I obviously have never seen it used before. And it obviously intrigues me to see our own rules being used in that way. I do understand that it is a checks and balance. But then on that rule, there is a checks and balance as well. If it's being abused, that committee can be excused. And so I guess in seeing the Senator from 8 use that rule, it doesn't seem like it's an abuse at this point. And so to immediately excuse that committee seems like it's maybe a misuse of the checks and balance on that rule. So I just wanted to, I guess that's my analysis at this point. Like I said, I'm still learning this process, but I appreciate the ability to think through these things. So I will be opposing the motion that we are debating.
Is there further debate on the motion?
Mr. President.
Senator Cole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, 105 or 1? That's the question before us today. Is this legislature made up of 105 independent representatives and senators who come from their districts to the Capitol to debate ideas and vote on policy where those bills live and die based on their merits? Or is this legislature made up of one individual? One individual who is judge, jury, and executioner of policy.
Mr. President, objection. That's a personal attack on me as chairman. I am not judge, jury, and executioner. I object to the content.
So senators, we'll just continue to focus on the motion at hand. And the motion is, shall the committee be excused from bringing forward House Bill 745? Senator, you can continue your debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a longer debate. I decided to keep it in my own drawer for today. But I will just say, Rule 14E is here for this exact scenario. It is here when our constituents are looking for real policy change that is being held back by an opaque system without explanation. This bill deserves to be heard on this floor. It has 12 Senate co-sponsors. Think of those districts. That makes up hundreds of thousands of Idahoans who are not getting proper representation by this drawing process. Mr. President, promises were made to hear this bill in committee. Those promises were not met. This bill deserves to be heard by this body. I urge your nay vote.
Is there further debate on the motion? Hearing none, Senator Zito, you're going to be given the opportunity to close debate should you choose.
President, I didn't realize I had that opportunity. Senators, I think we've pretty much covered what's going on here today. The decision now before us literally is, are we a legislative body or are we a legislative individual? I urge you to vote no on this motion so that this bill that has much support, not only on both sides of the rotunda, but across the state, will have its due hearing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senators, the question before the body is on the motion, and the motion is, shall the committee be excused? An aye vote will excuse the committee, and the request from Senator Zito to bring 745 to the floor will not be allowed. The bill will not come to the floor. An aye vote will not allow the bill to come to the floor. A nay vote will keep the bill in committee. I'm sorry, opposite. We're going to say it one more time. The motion is to excuse the committee. An aye vote will excuse the committee, and the bill will stay in committee. A nay vote will honor the request of Senator Zito, and the bill will come forward to the floor. Are there any questions or points of order? Hearing none.
Here we go.
With the roll call vote being requested, the secretary will call the roll.
Adams. Anthem.
Aye.
Burnt. Bierke. Blaylock. Burtenshaw. Carlson. Coho. Cook. Den Hartog. Foreman. Galloway. Grow. Guthrie. Harris. Hart. Kaiser. Cole. Lakey. Lent. Nichols. Okonowitz. Ricks. Ruckty. Samaroff. Shippey. Taylor. Taves. Van Orden. Ward Engelking, Wintrow, Bowler, Woodward, Zito, Seiderveld, Bierke,
Mr. Chairman, 60 seconds. Being new to this, it's a little confusing, but I can see merits in both of the arguments on both sides, but I'm going to choose to let the process play out, and I have faith that the chairman will resolve whatever issues there are. So my vote is aye.
Senator Bierke votes aye.
Taves,
Roll call shows 25 ayes, 9 nay, 1 absent or excused, more than 2/3 having voted in the affirmative. The committee is excused from bringing forth Bill number 745 for the remainder of the session.
Mr. President.
Senator Den Hartog.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that all bills in third reading be reordered with Senate bills followed by House.
Okay. Wow. Well, that was pretty wild to watch there, Brian. We haven't seen that in the Senate. We saw that a couple of years ago. Let's bring the volume down on that for us, please. Thank you very much.
The Senate will now advance the 15th order of business, miscellaneous business.
Can we bring the volume? Can we kill the volume on the Senate floor? Thanks. So, Brian, we saw this a couple of years ago with the grocery tax trying to get pulled out of committee over in the House side. I've never seen this try to happen in the Senate side. And the one thing that's a little frustrating is that when you try to do this, you got to go around and whip the votes. This is a huge, huge move. It's a huge power move to do this, and it's quite shocking to see. So we'll have some analysis on this a little bit later as we move forward. So, Brian, I'm going to let you go. You can go tally this stuff. We'll keep you abreast. Where can people follow you online? Because I'm sure you're going to go online right now and talk all about it.
Oh, well, I mean, what's there to talk about now? You know, like you said, you need the votes for something like that, and if you try it and whiff, it looks really, really weak. But hopefully, Senator Foreman, I don't know if you caught this. He said he's working on negotiations with the teachers union, which is why he has to keep the bill in the drawer. I don't know. Maybe something good will come of it. I'm skeptical, but I guess at this point we see what happens. At Brian Ullman on X, gemstatechronicle.com. I'm working on an article about yesterday's budget failure in the Senate. So. Go over there, subscribe, bookmark it, etc., and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. All right. Well, joining us now, I believe, is Representative Jason Monks over on the House side. Representative Monks, can you hear us? Hey, Representative, can you hear us yet?
I'm not hearing anything if you're talking to me right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, maybe
I heard Brian there, but as soon as Brian kicked off, I got no audio anymore from you.
Okay, let's take him off screen and we'll see if we can adjust that. There's got to be something on here. Let's go to a quick break and we'll be right back with Representative Monks.
And that's exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among the world's silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear, we govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
All right, folks, we're working on some technical difficulties here with the good representative, and so we'll bring him in here as soon as we get his camera back on. Right now, it's not available, but we'll get it in there anytime soon. But looks like he'll just reboot and come back. We'll give it another shot. So yeah, folks, it was pretty wild to watch. We obviously had Maxford Nelson on from the Freedom Foundation beforehand talking about House Bill 745. And so at this point, the bill is in committee, and it's up to the chairman whether or not he wants to hold a hearing or not, or send it to the floor or whatever. So we will continue to keep tabs on that. All right, let's see if we can bring Representative Monks back in here. Representative, can you hear me now?
I can hear you great. That's perfect.
Hey, there we are. Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on. You're also the House Majority Leader for the majority, the Republicans. And I wanted to bring you on today because there's a bill that's in the Senate side. It's headed to the Senate floor that you presented on the House side that I just find absolutely fascinating, because it's one of those things that I feel like it's thinking outside of the box, and it's trying to help average everyday folks in a growing different kind of economy kind of break out of the usual system where traditionally you would have to be fully employed as a W-2 employee to benefit from some sort of retirement plan through your work or through a health insurance plan. And here it looked like this bill would try to help independent contractors take advantage of some of those same things. Can you tell us a little bit about House Bill 645?
Absolutely. And so you hit it right on the head there. We have tons of people now working in, gig economies, essentially. If you think of Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, all of those individuals who are independent contractors. And so as an independent contractor, because that's what they want, they don't want a full-time somebody telling me when I got to show up to work and where. These guys get to make their own rules. But the disadvantages for that is because they're an independent contractor, these companies cannot. They're not allowed to send them benefits for unemployment, for workers' comp, for retirement, for healthcare. All of those things are prohibited from. The federal government has said, no, once you start doing that, then you're an employee, and that's not what anybody wants. So what this legislation does is it allows the employee, or the employer and the independent contractor to form an agreement that they can fund those things for them, and it does not change their employment status. So they can still be that independent contractor, that 1099 employee, and it won't change that. But yet, if that's what they agree to do, then they can receive those benefits. And we have seen that in other states where some of these large companies have decided to start funding retirements for these individuals.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how much precedent does this have across the states? And so you're saying it does. And what has been the reception, I guess?
So it's everywhere it's been tried. It's been working really well. It does take a little bit of time for this to, start working, because it is completely voluntary. Again, we're not mandating anything from this, the government. It is completely optional if you want. The employer has to want to do it, and the independent contractor has to want to do that. And so once we set up the framework for them to be able to do that, then they're allowed to start, making those agreements and those relationships. But it's not just for gig employees. It can be also for contractors that work in the construction industry. If you're a framer and you kind of bounce around from who you're working with, you can set those agreements up with whoever's your general contractor. If they want to provide some of your benefits this way, they can. And so you're just allowed to do it. And so all we're doing is making it optional for everybody.
And what is the incentive for, say, an employer to take part in this with an independent contractor? Do they get some sort of because if they're going to pay into someone's health insurance, do they negotiate the wage better? Do they get a tax break themselves when they're sending money to some sort of savings account or retirement or a health savings account or health insurance?
Yeah, so there is some benefits to them. Most of it's for the independent contractor. The employer, they're going to, whatever they expend on a contractor is a business deduction, right? It's a cost of doing good. And so they're going to be able to write that off as an expense. They would also be able to write off this as an expense as well. So they could either, pay them $20 an hour, or I can pay you $19 an hour. I'm going to throw $1 basically an hour into this retirement fund. For them, it's essentially going to be a wash. But for the independent contractor, they're going to be able to receive that additional funds, and it can be tax-free for them as far as that additional benefit, just like it is for regular employee, right? So when, if you're a regular employee and you're getting a benefit from your employer, you're getting, your healthcare costs or your 401k costs, and that usually is taken out before taxes. So you do that all tax-free. So it provides that benefit to these 1099 employees also kind of tax-free. So they get to take advantage of that as well. And so for them, it's a super good deal because now they can start saving for retirement, just like somebody with a traditional 401k at their company.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess in a larger picture now, when you think of, and the bill is going to be up, like we said, it'll be on the Senate floor shortly. But when you look at the bigger picture of just kind of like all of the systems and all of the programs and all of the different things that either government has helped set up for companies incentive wise and everything, and you find yourself looking at the health insurance industry, or looking at, immigration policy, or looking at the public school system. And we've been doing things the same way for so long, but things don't seem to be getting better. And so when something like this comes along, it feels like, okay, this is us trying to, like I said, think outside the box and try to work with what's going on. I mean, how much other opportunities do you think are out there for the public school system and for all these things that government tends to just sort of, want to keep status quo?
Most of the stuff we do in the legislature is Band-Aids for a system that we're dealing with. This is the system we've got, and so how do we work within that system? Again, this is a simple Band-Aid or fix to something that the federal government threw at us. They put this dumb rule that if you're an independent contractor, then you can't contribute at all to their retirement. As soon as you do, then they become an employee. And our independent contractors, they don't want to be employees, otherwise they would. This is the life that they choose with a lot of the freedoms and all that stuff. So the federal government put these rules in place, and you've seen a lot of court cases. In fact, our union friends were less than excited about the bill because they thought this made it harder for people to want to join unions now, because now they could remain as independent contractors and still get benefits. And so we're just trying to deal with the cards we're dealt in a lot of things. Seems like we do that all the time. We're trying to do a memorial right now to support President Trump's call to get rid of the Department of Education. And it's amazing the pushback, even here in Idaho, that we're getting on, well, wait a minute, we can't do that because who's going to help us with all this compliance issues? And we don't want the compliance issues. We want to get rid of those things. For education, we want to get rid of those strings that are attached that prohibit our teachers from doing a good job in the classrooms. We got good teachers, let them teach. They spend so much time trying to comply with federal regulations that it's difficult for them to do their job. And so one of the things we need to do here is remove those hurdles. And this is one of those ways where we're actually clearing the path for people to be able to do something better.
Yeah, that's great. You're on the topic of unions, on the topic of just bills that that go to the Senate from the House. I mean, there's a long history as far as as long as I've been watching, where good conservative bills, out of the box thinking, Band-Aids, whatever you want to call them, reform, they get sent over to the Senate, your colleagues over there, and I know you have no power over on that side of the world other than negotiating whatever you need to do. But we're seeing, like we just saw today before you got on, I don't know if you heard, they tried to pull the House Bill 745, which is the teachers union bill, out of committee. And it didn't happen over there, but there seems to be a ton of great bills that leave your side of the building and die on the other side. Is that frustrating for you? This might, I don't want to put you too much on the spot here, but you guys work hard on that side, getting your side of the deal done, and then it seems to just fall flat on the other side.
I would say, one, we have a really good relationship, I think, with a lot of our Senate counterparts. I've got a great senator over there that I work with. She happens to be the majority leader on the Senate side as well. And so we have a great working relationship. I believe she was the one who made the motion to pull that out, which was an interesting motion if that's the way it happened on the Senate, to see leadership really be in queue with that and wanting that to happen. So I don't know if that was the plan on if she made the motion or not, but I know that they were supportive of it or wanting to be able to do this. It's frustrating. It happens all the time. I had one of my colleagues, actually, when I was talking to them, they looked at me and they said, "Jason, you have a lot of these conservative ideas and I really like them, but sometimes you water them down too much." And I said, and I'm like, I'm trying to do something that can get passed. That person actually followed me in committee in the Senate. I presented my bill, they did their bill. And afterwards, that person came to me and says, "I understand now." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, you've always had this idea and then you water it down. And now I know why you have to do it, because you have to get it through the Senate." And I'm like, that's what we've been dealing with. I've been dealing with that for 14 years now. I will say in the last 3 or 4 years, the Senate has been much more conservative than they ever have in the past. It's been it's been a really good working relationship. If you look at what we've been able to accomplish in the last several years, I think it's been fantastic. I think 745 is one of those unfortunate holdups that we're hoping we can get heard. Gosh, we've been trying for years to do that. I'm shocked that in a conservative state like Idaho, we can't get that passed, but we'll continue to push as much as we can on this end to make that happen.
Yeah, good. Well, we were just so you know, before we let you go, and then you can go figure out the dynamics of it, but we were watching it live, and it was actually Senator Zito that made the motion to pull it out of committee. Senator Foreman requested to be excused.
Yeah.
And then it was actually Den Hartog that seconded his motion. So maybe there was some last minute discussions on how it was all going to play out. But I'll leave you with that. And
Senator Hartog, remember, she's the majority leader on that House, and for her to second that motion, I mean, that's a big deal to have leadership involved in really calling out their chairman and saying, "Hey, you need to move that bill." So that's a big deal to see that happen. And I'm again love my senator. I think she does a great job over there, and I'm proud of her for seconding that.
All right, well, very good. We'll let you get out to it, Representative. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll check back in, and we'll say good luck on this other bill that you have going through.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up for the day. I appreciate you all coming in for the Friday show. We will see you next week. And as we sort all of this stuff out, we got to make sure we had all the right names and all the right motions. I'm not quite sure exactly. We were watching it live, so we could have had our ears mixed up on who was doing what. But we will pay attention and clean it all up before we make our final assessment. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. If you have any thoughts or concerns, 208-402-4915 is the number to call to leave your voicemail. And there's the YouTube page. Before we head out, though, we had that resolution. What is that resolution that we had today? I think REA has it here. We were praying for snow. Back on March 1st, the legislature said we want to pray for some snow. And I don't know about you guys in the rest of the state, but this morning, holy cow. Do you have that as we lead into... We'll see you later. There it is. Looking good.
in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.